perceived a place, a point where you feel overwhelmed, stressed, maybe even afraid to try something new? Are you tired of worrying about what others might think? And are you tired of judging yourself in ways that are not productive? Do you feel stuck? And if so, are you ready? And do you want to choose a more effective way to go forward, a more effective way of being a leader in personal life, relationships, and then, of course, also professionally as well? And if you're ready to stop procrastinating about all of this, then your desire would be to become proactive. And if so, today, join me as we begin to talk about how to go from chaos to calm as you create a legacy of mindful movement that has the ability to not only change your life, but to change the life and the outcome of your legacy, your lineage to come behind you. And so that's a good thing. You want to create, or I encourage you to want to create a legacy that's beyond just financial. A lot of times when we use the word legacy, we're thinking about money, and that's good too. We do want to leave money, but also in legacy, there's so much more. And so that's what I want to talk with you about today, are some ways to focus on how you show up in the world, how you show up in your personal life that could be healthier ways that can, again, change the trajectory of your entire lineage. So thank you for joining me as we dig deep into this today. I'll share a personal story. Let me introduce myself first, though. My name is Leisha Thompson. I am a certified leadership and personal growth coach who has willingly chosen to equip professionals with strategy, also clarity, balance, and accountability to reinvent your life with heart-led passion if you are 50 and older. And so this has been something that I've been working through myself in my personal life a few years back, and I'll share a little bit about my journey. But it's something that I know deeply within inside of myself that I was created to do based upon my own personal journey and just leaning into lessons learned and what I was supposed to do because of my ability to navigate forward from some of those journeys. And I know that this also would be applicable for many of you who will view this live today or who will catch the replay. Now, professionally, I built a career in the insurance industry, actually beginning a couple years out of college. But most of my career was spent in corporate, 22 years, in fact, at Macy's Bloomingdale's as the director in the workers' comp department for managed care and also the National Return to Work program, which I actually am the architect and built the Return to Work program there. So utilizing a lot of what I learned there is what got me here, working with leaders throughout those 22 years and learning about leadership, having all kinds of conversations, creating and leading various programs, using everything from my background. So not just professional experience, but also parts of my personal journey is what I'm willing to talk about with you today. So there was a time when I didn't know that a lifestyle that I'd actually been introduced to in the 4th grade by my gym teacher, Mr. Kramer, would eventually become one of my core values later in life. And I'll share more about that with you as we go forward. I mention that because you too can experience a more aligned future when you choose to align your core values with all decisions, all actions that you utilize going forward. And so going back to Mr. Kramer, my fourth grade experience, several lessons that I learned from him became my core values, actually ranked pretty high on my list of core values. So when you redefine your core values, aligning them with who you are now and the future that you are striving to create by choosing what's most meaningful to you at this time in your life, it's probable, if you're 50 plus, that you've experienced quite a few things. Now, whether that's personal or professional, you too have lessons learned from those experiences that you can now utilize if you are at a phase where you want to reinvent or to renew, reimagine, and redefine what your life looks and feels like professionally and personally as you navigate forward. So through my career, though my career advancement had been great, there came a time in my life where it was no longer as fulfilling as it had previously been. But I did mention that I had been in various leadership roles for 22 years. So I knew it was time for something different, and I knew that it pertained to everything that I had learned throughout those previously fulfilling years in my career. Have you ever experienced a time in your own life where you recognize that something that you did well and previously loved just no longer felt the same for you? And if so, what did you do about it? So in this particular case, I began to reimagine the future that I wanted using and pulling all that knowledge and strength together, trying to define a way, because I knew inherently within my soul, within my heart-led passion, that all those experiences, just as your prior experiences, don't happen for naught. But what is it that you can do with everything that you've learned? Now, I'm a former caregiver of both of my parents, who also eventually became an empty nester as my daughters moved on forward with their lives and entered college and then pursued their own careers after graduation. So as a former caregiver of two, now an empty nester, thinking about what it is that I can focus on for the first time in my life after many years of being in those other roles, just like you have as well. So when we have opportunity somewhere around 50 or give or take a few years later or even before, we then sometimes receive opportunity to actually focus inward. And that may feel a little foreign because we've been so accustomed to focusing outwardly due to the responsibilities that we willingly took on in our lives. And that's all good. But when you can then turn that lens toward yourself, sometimes it can feel a little challenging to even begin the process. And so recognizing that life as you knew it no longer may hype you up anymore. And you know inherently, deeply within, that it is appropriate and it's time and that you are deserving of going in a different direction. Hence your opportunity to reinvent by listening and focusing on your heart-led passion at this time in your life. So they're thinking about what was next for me at that time. And this was in 2018, fourth quarter of 2018, as I thought about creating goals for my team and then also for myself, not feeling that excitement professionally that I previously had. So I gave myself a year for my exit plan and to actually be gone. And I thought I would request or accept a severance package that had been previously offered for 4 years prior that I happily turned down because I loved what I did and I loved my environment. I loved everything about my career at that time. Now, there comes a time, as I stated, when things change, when things start to feel differently, when you know you're called to do something different and more, and just sorting through it is a process and can take time. So I purposed myself to accept the severance when it would be offered again, typically in January or February of each of those years. But as fate would have it, when I was ready, it was no longer offered. So I thought about it and I decided to ask anyway and to express my desire to receive what had previously been offered, if that was possible. And after some conversations and time went forward, it was offered and I happily accepted it. However, I didn't know, none of us knew we were leading into a pandemic at that point. Since I was working remotely, I'm at home, as we all were at that time in 2020, with plenty of time on my hands. And so I chose then to launch my business and also to begin working on a manuscript, which eventually became a book within about 8 months, actually, because I had a lot of time on my hands. So I have been able to publish my book, When Your Soul Whispers. And we'll talk about that a little bit more today as well. But focusing on you, I wanted to share all of that just to lay some groundwork, some background about how I used what could have been not the best outcome, turning it into what I know. As I think back, I know that I was purposed to do at that time. So I want to encourage you to take calculated risk. When you believe deeply inside that making a major change is definitely something that you're led to do at a particular time in life, here's where you want to focus on possibly exploring mindful movement. And let me give you just a little description of what that is for those of you who may not be necessarily familiar with the terminology, but it's the intentional blending of physical activity and emotional awareness. And I'm always going to lead with heart-led passion. You'll hear me use those words quite a few times because it is something that I teach and work with my clients to enhance, because heart-led means it's coming from a deep place, your soul, hence the name of my book, When Your Soul Whispers. Your soul knows often long before you mentally have been able to connect that, to process what it is that is deeply within you. And so that's something that I want to encourage that you sit with. And so as we think about and talk about mindful movement today, know that I'm always referring to your heart, your mind, your body, your soul. The connection of all of that is what is the totality of who you are at any given time. And so mindfulness, again, is focusing on what's happening, being aware of the present moment that you're in. You focusing on awareness of the present moment, calmly accepting and acknowledging whatever feelings you're having in the moment. The feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations make up the entirety of mindful movement. Now, if you want to enhance your overall well-being, mindful movement is something that you want to focus on learning if you've not previously experienced it. So now, if this is something you're interested in, and you want to enhance your overall well-being, just let me know in the comments. I'm interested to just see where people are as we continue to go forward today with this discussion. Now, there are benefits of mindful movement, and studies have shown that it improves your emotional resilience, meaning your ability to bounce back after you've experienced what may be stressors or adversity, and you're able to then bounce back with self-compassion, self-belief. It reduces your stress and also enhances quality of sleep, or has the ability to enhance quality of sleep as well. It creates a stronger mind-body connection, which is essential for optimal clarity, balance, and heart-led passion, so that that can emerge within you, leading to your ability to complete overall in all aspects that you choose reinvention for. It is also important for you to define the reason that you actually want to explore mindful movement. And if perhaps it's to unwind, unplug, maybe you want to train your mind to focus differently. Perhaps you want to navigate through and understand any emotion that you may be feeling. And acknowledging your emotion is important, despite the fact that sometimes we've been taught to focus just on our thoughts and to minimize emotion. I'm here to tell you it's a myth. You actually stand a greater opportunity to understand and learn yourself when you connect your emotions with your thoughts. But it is important to acknowledge your emotions and then make decisions as to whether or not you are okay with your emotions or if there are changes that you want to make. Again, thinking about benefits of mindful movement, being focused on and aware of the present moment and calmly accepting whatever feelings you're having, whatever thoughts you're having in the moment. So here's some examples in different ways that you can explore. This is not to say these are the only ways. These are just mere examples that I'm sharing. So if you desire to connect yourself, your body, your mind, your soul with natural habitats, such as walking outside, walking on a path, being with nature, that's an excellent way to begin. So walking inside is also an option depending upon the weather, but outside and being with nature adds a whole different dynamic to the potential opportunities that and the growth that you can experience by making this a habit. So stretching and yoga, Tai Chi or Pilates are also a great way to move your body, but also with intent to be in tune with your thoughts and feelings. And so let me go back to, if you choose to walk outside, you want to also be mindful and pay attention to what you see. So whether it's the trees, flowers, grass, animals, whatever that is, also being mindful of what you feel when your feet connect with the asphalt, or if you're walking in the grass, how that feels. What do you smell when you're outside with nature? You have opportunity, hopefully, to inhale natural environment, which is a good thing. Now, if you're like me, I explore all forms of mindful movement. So I'm outside. I also am a runner, although I've kind of been on hiatus. So that is on my plan to pick that up again in the new year. But also, I'm very much a fan of HIIT training, high intensity interval training. I've been doing that now for over a decade. And what that is for anyone who might not know, is when you choose to participate in various forms of exercise where you keep your heart rate elevated the entire time. So a session for me is typically 40 minutes. If I'm really into the flow with various HIIT circuits, because you're moving from one circuit to another with intent to utilize every aspect of your being. So not only mentally as you push yourself to focus, but then also physically. So for me, that looks like an elliptical. I am a fan of Peloton, so I'm cycling. I'm also lifting weights. I'm also doing body weight movements on a mat. So jumping rope, any of those types of activities. I have a cousin who prefers strictly body weight exercise. Also, mindful movement includes breathing exercises. And so that could look like shortened breaths to refresh and energize, or elongated, slow breaths to calm yourself. Now, let's talk about why mindful movement is important, and what are some of the benefits that you can gain beyond the ones that I've mentioned here. Basically, by the time you reach age 50, most of us, not all, have become a little more sedentary than we may have been previously. And we know that studies have shown medically that sedentary habits can lead to physical and or mental health challenges. Now, if you know that you've been sitting more than ever before, it's okay to admit it. That's why we're here to talk about it. So you might add in the comments, "That's me," just so that we will be fully transparent with each other today. There are benefits, of course, by adding mindful movement because, as I said, it's a way to decrease stress hormones. It's also a great way to increase your endorphins, which are the chemicals and the hormones that produced in your brain, actually, that release feelings of good, positive well-being overall. Other benefits of mindful movement is that it builds physical and mental resilience. And if you are one who wants to create a legacy, including mindful movement, then this would be ideal for you to focus to learn and to teach others in your family. So you want to be able to use yourself to set it as an example for others to follow. But mindful movement also strengthens is a good way to strengthen yourself in personal and professional leadership through intentional self-care and increased self-awareness wherever you are, depending on any situation at any time. This is something that you can take a few moments to practice. It produces increased overall clarity, confidence, and energy, mental and physical energy. It helps you to also, or it can help you to also control your weight when done in connection with dietary changes, if and or when applicable. Now, generations of nieces, nephews, children to come, when we're talking about your legacy, can see and you can teach them what you've learned, what works for you to fast forward their growth in this area. People often talk about additional legacies, such as real estate. We talked about finance. I'm an author. There are plenty of other opportunities that you too have experienced that you can share with your generations that will follow you. And this is just one. So embracing a mindful movement is not just for you. Creating a lifestyle of this is far beyond just you. Also, people watch. And so your colleagues, friends, people will ask questions about what you do, or maybe you have opportunity to share. Let me go back quickly to Mr. Kramer and my fourth grade introduction. When he pulled me to the side one day outside on the playground, actually, to invite me to participate on the track team that I didn't even realize we had at that time in the fourth grade. Now, I had grown up pretty much hanging out with my next door neighbor almost 5 days a week, probably various amounts of time. We went to school together, but we were the same age and we literally lived next door to each other. So we were very competitive. I should say I learned to be competitive because he was competitive. So I grew up racing against him, riding bikes and all kinds of things. And actually, I welcomed the opportunity to be competitive. And I took pride in winning, or at least trying. It made me stronger physically and mentally. And I didn't know at that point, starting at age 5, that there would come a time when I was asked to be on a track team in the 4th grade. That opened the door to an entire different lifestyle for me going forward, because I then participated in track and field events through high school, which still are important to me, so much so that I competed in the Senior Olympics here in my city and won silver medals in 2 events as a sprinter. So I mention that because age is not a limit. Age actually gives you even more opportunities. So if you are interested in creating legacy, type legacy for me in the comments. Now, as our time is coming near to an end, let me give you an outline for a takeaway. You can create, and I encourage you to create, a 90-day mindful movement plan that you actually commit to begin before waiting. Don't wait until January, the new year. Let's start now so that when January arrives, you are already well into your new reinvention as far as mindful movement, taking that on as a part of your core values. So with this 90-day mindful movement plan, you can do this outside or inside, depending on preference and weather. But your goal is to reclaim with intent your own personal heart-led joy, peace, balance, boundaries, commitments, a new initiatives, whatever your choices, whatever your preferences that you want to reinvent at this time. So let's look at weeks 1 through 4, where you can set daily intentions and journal. The reason for journaling is to just make note of your experiences on the times, on the days that you choose to work on mindful movement. Now, I want to encourage you to do this 5 days a week, but if that's not realistic, then you choose. But please, more than once a week. If you only do this once a week, chances of feeling and seeing a change are slim to nil. So at least 3 times a week. 5 will be even better, or more if you choose. But for that first week through the 4th, just focus on setting an intention of what you're going to focus on during your movement, your mindful movement, and then jot down what your experience looked and felt like each time that you do it. Now, I would say maybe 10 minutes. Start with about 10 minutes, but increase as you go forward, please. Weeks 5 through 8. This is where we're going to introduce body weight exercises. Perhaps yoga, Pilates may be easier for you if you're not one who has previously exercised. So starting with either of these, either body weight, yoga, Pilates, any of those types of exercises would be great. You may want to focus on using guided meditations with this so that you're not trying to figure it all out on your own. So some recommendations would be the Calm app, Headspace app. If you are a member of Peloton, there are plenty of classes that you can take that fit in this category. And again, you want to do this more than once a week. Now, when we get to weeks 9 through 12, add cardio if you've never done it before. If you're one who typically exercises anyway and you're just adding mindful meditation to it, then of course you don't wait until the 9th to the 12th week because you're already accustomed to doing this. But with cardio, that can be walking, can be jogging, can be skating, cycling, jumping rope, HIIT training, whatever it is that you do. Or if you're new to it, then you want to gradually you want to gradually add these types of cardio exercises that you choose in with mindful meditation as well. So the purpose is to build stamina so that you can receive the benefit of your endorphins kicking in, and you can experience more self-awareness, additional joy, control your weight, build strength. Also, it increases your ability to ward off colds and infections and things of that nature when you are consistently exercising and adding everything that we've been talking about. It increases your resilience. So there's a win in everything that I'm talking about today. You can start slowly and continue